Hey all, Happy New Year everybody, Veladam01 is here, and after another long break, welcome back to the next episode of City Skylines East of the Curtain, my former Eastern Bloc city building series. Originally I wanted to make a New Year video, but when there was New Year, I was so sick that I just literally couldn't do anything. And when I got better, I had exams, so I had no time to make any videos. And when I finally had the time to make videos, it was too late to make a New Year video, so I just decided to make a proper East of the Curtain episode instead of just making a video where I talk about random bullshit with a black screen in the background. So the idea of making a New Year video was scrapped. I also have some issues in the city. For example, my BOB config is still not recreated. You can see that there are a lot of ugly vanilla trees and props all around the city. And my buses and trams are still running with empty displays because I still couldn't set up the config for the dynamic displays, you know, the write everywhere mod. So they are still running with these ugly empty displays instead of the nice dynamic displays with the line numbers and the destinations. I also had to uninstall the cinematic camera mod because when I wanted to play a cinematic camera path which I set up with the mod, it just literally crashed my game, so I had to uninstall this mod because it made my game to crash. And there could be also some random lag spikes while I am in the city while I am playing the game. And to be honest, I tried to record this episode for the second time because when I wanted to record it first, my game just literally crashed during the recording and building. But anyway, what I want to do in this episode is I want to build some heavy rail infrastructure in the city with a nice big main train station here with intercity train connection to the outside, you know, the neighboring cities, because actually I set up a nice train line all around train tracks on the edge of the map, so I will just connect the main train station to these here. And I also want to build some smaller stations, for example one local station here in this area. Yeah, I know that maybe it is kinda far away from the populated areas, but we can still use buses to bring the people to the trains. And I also want to build another third train station here next to the bus hub on this island with the big prefab housing estate. So let's do it. So I started today's project by building the main railway station. Originally I wanted to build something that would have been inspired by the Nyugati railway station in Budapest. It would have been so cool because that is the station that is also where Gordon Freeman arrives to City 17 at the beginning of Half-Life 2, but sadly I could not find any matching asset, and when I wanted to make it by myself, I just wasn't able to do it, even with PO, because even it was functional, it always turned out to be ugly. For example, there was literally a hole on the side of the station and so many other issues that I just gave up this idea. What I did instead is I found this asset, the Deco station by Yamashita on the workshop, which is modeled after the Helsinki train station, but still kind of fits in the Central or Eastern European theme. But this asset also has some issues, so I just jumped into the asset editor and tried to fix it, and I made like 10 test versions of it, and all my day was like, okay, I created another test version, let's just load the cities to see if it works. But it was so long that I just opened and read my ebook during the loadings. Anyway, I have managed to make a version that kinda works, There are still some problems that I could not figure out what causes them yet, but there are less than with the original one. But to be honest, I had to convert the main hall that is actually a sub-building into PO off camera to get rid of the issues. And by the way, I am also in contact with the original asset creator to solve these issues, so if we can fix it, the fixed asset might be published to the workshop either by Yamashita or by me with permission. So what I did is I plopped down the latest test version that kinda works with the least amount of issues and started to decorate it because the asset comes with no light and the main hall was kinda empty. I used the vanilla 1x1 commercial assets to create a food stand, an ice cream box, a small store and a market tent to make the main hall look kinda filled with life to get rid of the empty spots, and man, it turned out to be so realistic as the Sims walk between the commercial booths to reach the trains or the exit. Then I also created some lights in the station using mostly Electric Leo's outdoor wall mounted light pack in the main hall because it was completely dark everywhere, and started to drag out the tracks from the station through the suburbs to connect them to the outside rail connection, because I actually have some vanilla train tracks connected together and hidden at the edge of the map, but these tracks are not shown in the video because they are just some technical tricks in order to make the intercity trains working, because without them they won't work properly, and these tracks they will also be covered in the edge fog if it was enabled. After I was done with the main station itself, I also built up the area next to it. I built a big public parking garage right next to the main road because I wanted to make this station to be like a park and ride station. Then I just used some random buildings like these prefab tenements because I just really wanted to make an area of the city that just literally sucks. So I think next to a big train station is perfect for an area like this. So here we are at the next station of the video. This station will be a branching station where the rails just branch out from each other. One goes to this direction and the another will go to that direction that will be built in a future video. I wanted to create a simple, mostly utilitarian station that is going to be a 4-track station raised on an embankment. The conception was that every direction should have its own platform. You will see that I will use a lot of procedural objects here. Everything was converted into PO that could be, except the station assets and the networks. I used the Copenhagen metro station structure converted into PO for the station shelters. The only problem with this asset that the light drop that comes with it is just some aesthetic light that is visible at night but does not actually light up the station. So I had to place down some other lamp props too. And I also used Ronix's glass elevators converted into PO because it is actually the buggiest asset I have ever seen if it is not converted into PO, as it is just deforms the terrain and you can't even move it on it properly because it just always messes up everything and will look like what the hell. So now you can see that the underpass axis is just a simple cloth walkway network that is squeezed into this kind of fake concrete tunnel under the tracks that was made by using the Ronix tunnel blocks assets with PO. I used, by the way, the elevated version of the walkway for the video, but I am not sure to keep this walkway elevated or just change it to the ground version. And to cross this road after the station, I made a custom overpass using these tunnel blocks again and an offset called nickel plate bridge from the workshop, some ploppable gravel and also some PO magicary again. And I also copied this nickel plated bridge to the station underpass to make it look better. And finally, before moving on, I also populated the area with buildings, but to be honest, this area has to be reworked in a future episode, as I made it only just to be a temporary, just for the screenshots for Twitter. The last station will be this over-the-road station here, based on Kőbánya Alsó train station. You can see that I struggled a little bit with the stairs because they didn't want to be at the correct height, but I also had to change them to a pedestrian network off camera because they were not working. The citizens just couldn't find the path to the platforms. I also entirely rebuilt and decorated the bus hub next to the station on the edge of the prefab housing area to have a decent, nice looking bus hub here. I made some new pedestrian paths across the square, made these nice planters with trees, and I also decorated the bus stands with these stop signs and shelters. And I just literally spent more time with the bus hub than the train station itself. Now I started to connect up these stations to each other. What you might see and find interesting here is this area here where I built a lot of rail tracks. The concept behind this is that a lot of at least 3 railway lines will meet here. So the area here is planned to be a big cargo rail yard in the future. There might be a lot more train tracks, cargo stations and maybe some more industrial estates here between the train tracks and the river. But for now it has only 3 tracks that the trains can choose from based where they are heading. And by the way, once my game just froze while I was building all of this area, so I had to reload the last save, spending another long time on the loading screen and reading the ebook while I was waiting to load, and had to rebuild it from completely zero because I had no save as I turned off auto saving because it just caused my game to lag. And yes, I am aware that passenger trains are running through the freight train yard and they should not, and the passenger and freight trains should be separated, but in my country we don't do this. Every train is just a train, whether if it is a passenger or a cargo train. They are just sent through the same tracks, but I think intercity and passenger trains are actually having bigger priority than the freight trains, so they would be sent forward and the freight trains have to wait for available free sessions to continue on. After I finished connecting up the stations, I also created a local train line, which the sims are actually using, because when I started the simulation I actually had seen a full vehicle on the line, but I had to disable intercity trains for the smaller stations as they made the tracks kinda clogged up, so now only the big main station allows intercity trains. Also, if an asset creator watches this video, it would be so cool to also have some Hungarian trains on the workshop. But anyway, this is the end of this episode, hope you enjoyed it. There won't be any cinematic cameras at the ending because, as I told you, when I want to play a cinematic camera in the mod, it just makes my game crash, so I had to uninstall the cinematic camera mod. So instead I will just let you enjoy the rest of the time-lapse. If you want to see some previous screenshots of my city or would like to know when there is going to be a video, follow me on Twitter at veladam01. Thanks for watching me, hope I see you again in the next episode. I was veladam01, see you later, goodbye.